I sometimes see comments on my videos saying that priests are corrupt leaders who are simply in it for power or some kind of personal gain. And I'm a Catholic priest, so I have some thoughts on this. We'll be answering lots of questions like this in future videos, so make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out. First off, have priests done bad things? For sure. Have there been corrupt church leaders? Definitely. People in the church have caused very real damage. Hurt caused by religious leaders always cuts twice as deep. The only proper response to those actions is to condemn them. And I have no hesitation admitting that, because look at the apostles. Jesus handpicked the 12 apostles, and one of them, Judas, outright betrayed him. This guy was personally selected by Jesus himself. I think God was sending us a clear signal. A bad leader isn't the reason to abandon the faith. When people call out true evil in video comments, I'm right there with you. On top of that, I would be very slow to say that some bad priests are the reason to disband the faith. There are some bad fathers out there who really hurt their kids, but that's not a reason to outlaw the family structure. In the same way, some bad spiritual fathers aren't a reason to disband the Catholic Church. And here's where some of the comments do bother me. I'm annoyed when there's this implication that no one would ever choose this life because they actually care. I'm annoyed when people assume that there is always some ulterior motive for a young man to choose this life, that true goodness can't exist. I absolutely disagree with the premise that a young man would only choose priesthood because he's hiding something or wants some kind of power. First off, it's just not worth it. I mean, the church requires that we be celibate, which is about as radical of a self-emptying sacrifice as you could possibly make. And we're held to a really high standard when it comes to this. Second, while not all priests take vows of poverty, we just don't make that much money. If someone was looking for a life of comfort with a lot of income and an easy schedule, priesthood just isn't it. We basically work all the time, and the demands of ministry are literally unending. Third, we take vows of obedience, which means we quite literally live wherever the bishop tells us to. You really can't build a life for yourself around what you want. And at any moment, the bishop can just ask you to pack up everything and move across town to a new house and a new community. Not an ideal fit for someone who wants to live life on their terms. Now, don't get me wrong, I love being a priest, but I don't love it because it works for me. I love it because it's meaningful. I believe I'm changing the world in a very real way. Which brings me to my main point. Rather than defend the priesthood with stats or some argument, or even try to tell you what some bishop is doing for the church in another country, let me just tell you what my priest friends and I do all day. And you can judge for yourself. We wake up, usually early, and we pray. In fact, at ordination, we promise to pray at least 5 times a day. We pray for the world, we pray for our people, and for ourselves, that we'll be good shepherds. Then we say Mass with the people of the parish. We usually give a little homily encouraging them to avoid things that hurt them, another way of saying sin, and we encourage them to focus on the good in their lives. The Masses are filled with people of just about every nationality, ranging from families with babies to young adults to the elderly. It's for everyone. Throughout the day, we regularly go to hospitals to pray with the sick, and we visit homes where people are dying. We try to be a source of comfort for the sick and their families. In the parish office, we have lots of meetings with people who are struggling with grief, anxiety, or their faith, and we try to offer them hope, consolation, and tried and true principles for moving forward. We spend time preparing couples for marriage, teaching the youth group, and planning youth retreats. My own parish has a robust social service ministry that collects huge quantities of food for the poor and helps struggling families pay their bills and get back on their feet. And this help isn't just coming from some disconnected government institution. It's coming from a community that really cares. Throughout the week, we hear countless confessions, sometimes for hours on end, entering into the darkest parts of people's lives and telling them that they can go in peace. At the end of the day, we don't come home to our wives and our kids, but to our prayers and to our plans for the next day. That's what our lives look like. I'm so inspired by the work of my brother priests. We're not perfect, And I can't tell you what's going on in the rest of the world, but I can say that these priests, the ones I know, aren't what's wrong with society. In fact, they're exactly what's right. They're heroes, working really hard to make the world a better place. I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments what you might like to hear more about, and we'll see you next time. God bless.